and I'm going to use our tools and projections to go over today's 9-game MLB DFS slate. Going to go over DraftKings, going to go over FanDuel. If you've been watching these videos, it should be pretty boring. It's just a process video. We're showing how we take the projections. We use the play-by-play sims and the contest sims to build a good portfolio of lineups. We do it day in and day out, and really just getting two things. One, getting reps so that we know how to do this process right before lock, that we're efficient, and that if we do need to make any changes, we're able to do so easily. And then two, to show off these great tools. And you can get these tools at TrueDFS.com. So check that out, like and subscribe. That helps us out too. And yeah, it's really worth it. It's one of the most robust packages in the industry. I say it every day. You get access to the PayDirt analytics model that's great for DFS and great for betting. And you get Sheets' projections, Goldie's projections, SaberSim, all for like $25 more than it would cost you to just buy it a la carte. So it's really a deal like that you should not pass up. It's really worth looking into. We think it's great. And yeah, with that, I'm going to go ahead and start building lineups. So I'm going to just go build for DraftKings using SaberSim's projections, and then I'll build using Goldie's projections. Or maybe we'll do, you know what we'll do? Use Goldie's and Sheets' projections and see what the difference is, or SaberSim's and Sheets, and see what the difference is. So let's load up Sheets' here. And then I just want to make like a couple changes. It's a 9-game slate. So I want to demand of it only 5-mans and like 4-4s. Now you could say, well, why do you make changes like that? There's good stacks that are 4-3s and 3-3-2s and who knows. And I'm sure that's the case, right? I'm sure you could build plus EV ones, but you also build a lot of negative EV lineups. And we only get 5,000 lineups here in our pool. So we want to make them all count. And so I figure get as many of the ones that I know are more likely to be plus EV in my pool to be graded. So let's see. I don't think it's sharing on YouTube again, but that's okay. I think we're live on Twitter at least. Oh, here we go. Just didn't come up on my thing. Okay. Cool. Let's see if anyone's around. But yeah. What's up, D-Pope? Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you too. Appreciate it. Thinking of taking a shot in a bigger contest. No, Sheets doesn't max out some, but let's say I put 50 in the 5 tonight. Could you give your take or not on maxing out contests? It gives you more shots to win, but it shouldn't really change the EV of any individual lineup. You may be able to smooth out your variance a little, as we see with Portfolio Manager. Like you could start getting to some of the higher projected stacks that are maybe higher owned, but you want to offset some of your higher ROI, low projected stacks within the portfolio. But in terms of EV, like I don't think it makes any difference if you max it or not. In terms of individual lineups. In terms of fun, I mean, it may be fun. I mean, I know that's why DK is doing this sort of thing, right? And changing it to $5 for some nights is to just let other people in to play more. But I don't think, I don't know. I would say the more you could put into the flagship, like this $5, the better, because it's going to be the softest. But you still want to max out the lower dollar stuff if you can. If you ever taken a look at like SaberSim's profit plan, is a really good way to get a beat on that. So, I would say if you're talking about playing a higher dollar versus the flagship, I would get into the flagship first. That's going to be where the best EV is, except for maybe the really low stake stuff. But in terms of like preference or ROI on individual lineups when you play less versus maxing, I don't think it makes much of a difference. You may actually play a lower ROI portfolio the more you have, because you get to more of these like Torontos and these chalkier stacks that just smooth out your variance using Portfolio Manager. So I hope that makes sense, T Pope. Let me know. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions. But I would say play in the highest EV contests you can, which are the lower stakes and the flagship. And if you're putting into higher dollar stuff, I mean, the EV is lower, the rake's lower. So it kind of may offset that a little bit, but it's tough. Those are really sharp contests, really sharp fields. So let's see using Sheets' stuff. We get 40% glass now. That makes sense. Soroka, Kikuchi, Fried. In that order. Not a ton of Fried, right? For $400 more, I mean, he's projected about a point lower, fantasy point lower than glass now for 400 more. So you're just getting twice as much glass now. It makes sense to me. Now stacks, I got him in. What's up, Andy? T-Pope, I guess I'm not really crushing lower stakes. Should I even consider? Well, if you're not crushing lower stakes, I mean, define crushing though, right? I mean, are you making money? Do you have a 5% ROI, 10%? I mean, that's doing pretty damn good in 2025 DFS. So I don't know who's crushing anywhere at this point in DFS. But what we expect and hope for, I think, is 5 to 10%. I don't know. I know there's people probably tell you that or talk like that, but it's 2025 DFS. It's sharp, and it's sharp at all stakes. So, define crushing, Depot. Winning is crushing, I think. Being plus EV is crushing right now. DFS is hard. I mean, that's why we use every edge we can get. The projections, you say, well, the projections don't matter that much and they're all good and this and that. I think Sheets is a little better. I think Goldie's a little better. But well, you should use it because it may be a little better. Maybe it gives 1%, right? I think I'm more successful overall on FanDuel than, yeah, I mean, again, that's always, it could be the case, but it's tough to tell. Like, is one site less sharp than the other? I don't know. There's so much variance. Like, you could, my biggest bink is on DraftKings, and I'm always going to just have better ROI overall, realized ROI on DraftKings because of that. And does it mean DraftKings is softer or that I'm better on DraftKings than FanDuel? Not really. I just happen to have one spike. And so if you have that one spike on FanDuel, it could look like you're way better on FanDuel, but not necessarily. That's not necessarily the case. I mean, it's just that one kind of spike you got. So I don't know, but let's take a look at the stacks. I mean, you could damn well bet it's going to have a ton of Toronto here. Yeah, half Toronto. Then you have Milwaukee with the good projection in Atlanta. We got to watch out for that. There's a little bit of weather. It's the only game with weather on today's slate. So we got to watch out for the Atlanta thing. Depot, but some of the contests are so top heavy. Yeah, they're all top heavy. I mean, top heavy is a blessing and a curse, right? I mean, top heavy, we look at it and it's like, God, it's so tough to win. It's not great. And we'd rather it be smoother. But then again, like it's harder for casual people to build good lineups that can win in top heavy contests. And so top heavy contests are better for better players. And so we want those top heavy contests. We want to use SaberSim to build us great lineups for them. And with the realization that it's going to, make the swings bigger, but that's okay. The swings are big enough anyway. And the swings will be even bigger, but our EV will be better if we're building good lineups for top heavy contests because it's just hard for a casual player to build good lineups in that way. What's up, DGen Stoner? I play tiers. You play tiers. All right. Overlay? Hey, if there's good overlay, then tiers is the way to go, right? I don't play tiers. Maybe I should be looking out for tiers because overlay is like the one guarantee we have, not guarantee, but if we're competent players, we figure out a sort of a system for tiers and it has overlay, then let's go. there you have. Let's see if there's any batters with sheets of stuff that we just get a ton of. Yeah, Lapperfido, Kirk, Lukes. Makes sense. But like, you see what I mean? We have 50% Toronto, 40% Lapperfido, but then like 32% Kirk, 26% Lukes, Barger. So like with all that Toronto, we're still spread out within them. We've got some of the 8-hole guys, the 5-hole guys that'll be a little bit lesser owned in Coors. It's the best. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good, DJen. All right, let's see. Let's use Saber Sims and see how this changes things. So we're just going to change the Saber Sims projections. We could change the ownership. It's not going to affect things. We'll get the flagship ownership on Saber Sim. Less for the same stacks. And let's rebuild in Sim and see where we get to. What's Ross saying about this in Atlanta? Scattered showers and storms be an issue all day and night around Atlanta. Bulk of the rain southeast. Yeah, I mean, this is always kind of a thing in Atlanta to look out for. So we're looking out for it again today. Okay. Fine. That'll change things a lot. Whoop. I had my stuff for the late slate. I'm only playing the late slate, unfortunately. Got a family event going on before lock. Sheets. Hey, guys. Sorry I can't be on the still on the others. Nice. Oh, good. So we get sheets later. You get the trade-off and the even sharper stuff. But yeah, Deep Pope, I mean, FanDuel, you're not necessarily better on FanDuel than DraftKings. And I'm going to just venture a guess, just given the size of the lobby, that DraftKings is actually softer than FanDuel. I don't know. I just feel like, there's not a lot of promotion of DFS in 2025, but there's more in DraftKings. And there's probably more likely to be casual players. And they've got their Discord and they've got, promoting the rewards and stuff. I mean, I don't know. I have a feeling the DraftKings lobby is the softer one, and that it may just be that you've banked on FanDuel and that it feels like you've had more success. But it's also tough to tell, right? We can kind of quantify success with post-contest EV on DraftKings. We can't really do that on FanDuel because we don't have the CSVs. So it's tough to know. It's really, really tough. And even with that, it's going to be biased towards the projections you use, as many have talked about. Look at the difference using SaberSim's inputs. Like, we're still high on Glass now. Kikuchi, a little bit more freed. But then look at all that Soroka rising up to the top. Let's see if we still have 50% Toronto. Just a little less Toronto using SaberSim, but it changes in the pitchers. And then you get the Milwaukee, the Boston. Sort of flat from there. But it just shows you those inputs really matter. And if you look at I'm just looking at Goldie's stuff. He's got it bunched up with pitchers in terms of value score. These 4 guys are all pretty bunched. Glasnow's good, but at 9,800, he's not popping that much more than Soroka. He's not that much more than Fried. Who's Fried got? They had Miami in their last series. Yankees got at Texas. So Fried's looking pretty good for just 400 more than Glasnow as the pivot. And Kikuchi's going to look good. They're not playing the White Sox anymore. They've got the Rays. Okay. The price is right on Kikuchi, 7,900. So there you have, just changing the inputs, changes around. We're still getting these top pitchers, but in way different numbers. Winds blowing in at Wrigley, you can kind of tell. Yeah, winds blowing in 5 to 10 miles an hour. You just tell by these totals, right? Adam, when you build, let's see, Depot, when you build field, are we switching the contest fields to the 5,000 line with she stuff or? Oh, I'm just using SaberSim's contest fields. I mean, that's a good question. If we should build fields in baseball, I'll say this: now that we're using Portfolio Manager, it's less important to build a field in anything because we're going to play lineups at roughly their optimal rate, right? We're playing that GTO kind of style, the term popularized in poker, the game theory optimal style that's going to play lineups the field does matter, right? If you could build a better field, you're going to do better over time. But building your own field is pretty fraught. And I give SaberSim a lot of credit for what they could do in baseball. I mean, I think some of the duping sports or the sports where like the field is everything, like tennis or MMA, you might want to experiment with that. But I think with baseball, we're in decent shape not to build a different field. So I'm just using their out-of-the-box flagship field, T-Pope. And then T-Gen, yeah, one pitcher, utility in that. Yeah, I mean, FanDuel's fun. One of the great things is just that the sites are different regardless of what you do. Let's go over, speaking of that, let's go over to FanDuel and build. And yeah, I'm just going to use the fields out of the box. Let's start by building on SaberSim. Sheets doesn't have his, so we use Goldie's. So let's build with SaberSim's projections on FanDuel. And I'm going to demand only 4-mans. Playing in a pretty big contest. We'll take 4 2s. Not going to take 4s and 4 1-offs. Let's go see what we get. I'm not going to make changes to min salary. I always have some question about that because, you know, the pricing's softer on FanDuel that you could get away with it more, I think. But we'll see. Yeah, given the soft pricing too, it's hard to imagine we don't get away, that we get away from Toronto. I mean, we may have even had more Toronto on FT than we did on DK. And then Glass now is the same price. We'll see how that fits in. Here, Freed is, oh no, Glass now's a little bit more. We'll see how that fits in with the FanDuel salaries. Freed's a little cheaper here, so maybe we get to more Freed. Soroka and Kikuchi's like relatively more. And then you got Lodolo more. I can't imagine we're getting any Lodolo here, given that Glass now and Freed are cheaper, but we'll see. That's why we do this. And we'll see. Lodolo's going to have like low ownership. Yeah, really low ownership. So we'll see to what extent the builder likes that. Let's take a look at value scores too. So remember, one thing I'm not going to do is impose any takes on a slate this size. You know, I might start looking at like recent trends and stuff plus and pitching plus, or location plus or all pitching plus captures and all of that. I may look at things I don't think are in the projections on a smaller slate where my takes, if right, have a bigger impact, but it's not something I'm going to do here. Look at how spread out we are in pitching. We do get the Soroka as the top guy on FD, then the Freed and the Glass now. Right below him, Kikuchi. So it's still those 4 guys. Then the stacks. It's hard to imagine. Let's see on our 4-mans. 41%. Okay, so we do get less Toronto. And then just spread out just a little bit of everything after that. Overall, though, 50% Toronto still. A little higher on FanDuel. So you get the 3-mans and the 2-mans coupled with everyone else. A lot of Boston in there. In Fenway, probably the next best hitting park on the slate. Who's Kansas City throwing? Do we even know? Do they have? Oh, Bailey Falter. Okay. They can hit him. No problem. Might mitigate some of the lefties, but we'll see. We'll see. So I like it. Okay. Now let's use Goldie's and see what happens. Switch over to Goldie's projections. I'm going to switch ownership. It shouldn't matter. The builder's not really using it to build lineups. It's only using it in those sims. But I think there's still value in changing it because we can compare to what we think the sharper ownership is, which I think is, I prefer Goldie's over time. please. So let's see FanDuel, what the value scores look like, if anyone's showing up. Yeah, Freed's really popping a little bit more than anyone else in Goldie stuff. So I imagine he's going to rise up. We'll probably still get the Soroka, the Kikuchi, and the Glass now, and they're pretty bunched together. Manaya's in a kind of tier of his own as the SP5. And then Freed standing out in Goldie's projections. So let's see. Let's see if changing the input here gets us to more Freed. I'm going to venture a guess that we do have a little bit more Freed than like Glass now, Kikuchi, and Soroka here. But we will find out soon. Yeah. All right. Depot, do you switch between the sites or just play on both? So to me, I think I find it tough to play on both because you build a portfolio. You know, we want to play in this sort of GTO style, but it's hard to know how our portfolios sync with each other on DraftKings and FanDuel. You almost have to have two separate bankrolls. You almost have to have a DraftKings bankroll and a FanDuel bankroll to do it right. So let's see. Here's answer to our question. Yeah. Just getting more Freed than these other guys. Not really too spread out a pitcher. I mean, a little bit of everyone down low. Not everyone, but some guys down low. But then a lot of Glass now, Kikuchi, Soroka, and that Freed sticking out with 5% more. We kind of expected that. Let's see if we get as much Toronto. Yeah, even more. But not as many as the four-mans. So we're saying get Toronto sprinkled in. I mean, we're getting plenty of four-man Torontos, but 43%. We're saying get them sprinkled in with the threes and the twos to a little bit more greater degree. Let's see what we have ownership-wise. Yeah, I mean, Freed is the highest owned of the bunch, but the best projected. Just a little bit over Glass now here. So there we go. We've got what we're doing right now in this early going on FanDuel. I'm not making any changes with the weather. We took a look at DraftKings. We saw where we get. It's a Toronto kind of slate. You have to ask yourself, do you want to play in this GTO style? If you do, you're getting 40 to 50% Toronto in Coors. The matchup is right. You know, Toronto would look good if they were playing Colorado at home in the Sky Dome or whatever the heck it's called now. So there you have it. Took an early look, and we took a look at process, how we're going to do things for tonight's slate and how we're going to do things day in and day out. So, yeah, thanks for coming. Check out TrueDFS.com. Give us a like and subscribe. You can get all these tools for like $25 more than you'd pay for them a la carte. So it's a great deal. And with that,